Let's talk about illusion. Me, I got to admit again, sometimes reality, it's not enough for me. I feel like I need more than reality to get off to sometimes. I have unrealistic expectations of others and the world around me a lot of times. And when they don't live up to my expectations, I start chasing a false existence. All right? And before I know it, I start chasing a false utopia, one that doesn't even exist. And before I know it, I'm living on an illusion and I'm missing out on reality. This life. Now look, I'm all for the notion that, hey, if you ain't impressed with your reality, then create a reality that you're impressed with. Yay. I'm all for having dreams and the spirit of shooting for the stars, but not at the exclusion of missing out on the reality of the day. So let's admit it. Let's admit where we maybe don't have appropriate expectations on a day-to-day basis of the world and of ourselves. Let's admit that maybe we're missing out on the truths, the beauties, and the tools of the day that are right in front of us. And let's admit that those very truths, beauties, and tools, those are what we are going to need to build that rocket ship to get us to those stars that we're shooting for. The ones we're trying to reach. That is not an illusion. That is reality. Admit it. Let's talk about complacency. Can we admit all the times we say, oh, well, that's just what it is, so I'm going to go with it? Can we admit where and when that we're not ambitious enough? Admit those times that we hesitated to actually find out because we feared failure. Times we didn't give ourselves enough credit for our ability. Times we put a self-made ceiling over our head when we didn't really have a right to do so. Can we admit when and where we blamed others for not getting the success that we wanted? Politicians, government, economy, banks, or boss. Admit it. Our greatest strengths can also be our greatest weaknesses. This one just came to me like 6 months ago. I don't know why it took 52 and a half years to figure it out, but sure. You ever notice how your greatest assets and strengths can also be your greatest Achilles heel? All right, me. All right, one of my greatest strengths happens to be resilience. Man, I fall down, I get up and dust myself off like that. I step in a pile of shit. I keep running while I'm cleaning that shit off my shoe on the go. All right? But that can turn into one of my biggest downfalls. Being a repeat offender. See what I mean? I'll step in the same pile of shit every time around the bend because I never stop to take inventory of just where that pile of shit that I keep stepping in was. We got to ask ourselves, are we seeking and moving forward towards a more meaningful chapter in our lives? Or are we just running from our past? A past that maybe we regret, feel guilty about, or consider a failure. Now, I propose that most of these crises, most of these midlife crises and quarter-life crises are not because we did not do all we could have done or because we failed in our past. Rather, that most of these midlife crises are Because we don't realize truly how much we actually did. We don't respect and show ourselves enough gratitude for the successes of our past. Now look, we all need something to push off of and away from to get to where we're going. But we got to watch we don't wallow in our failures too much, you know? We got to watch that we don't dissect our failures for too long. Because we do that, we become victimized by them. We start giving them too much credit. We find ourselves not only stopped at the red light, we find ourselves stuck at the damn red light. So, I want you to admit a failure that you've made, that you're obsessing over. Can you say enough with the dissection of that failure and instead maybe forgive yourself? Let it go. Release the guilt. Turn the page. Move on. Change. And give Grace her time of day. Now, admit a success that you've had or something that you do pretty darn well on a consistent basis. Something you're good at, you know, at work. A way you care for your child or sibling or your spouse. Maybe you have great timing for telling jokes. Maybe you're a great whistler. Whatever that something is, I want you to give more credit to it. Give more respect to it. Have more gratitude for it. Now, will you commit to dissecting the successes instead of the failures in your life? Because I believe that the recipe for your particular secret sauce is under the hood of what you do well, not what you don't. So will you dig deeper into the why of your successes? Show yourself more gratitude for them? You do that, and you're going to start to have more success more often, I bet you.